Okay, let's dive in. Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the show that takes source material you're interested in and really pulls out the key takeaways.
That's right. And today we're working with just one file you sent over. It's an audio clip named Hillary Clinton Exposed Part 1.mp3.
hmm And our mission here is pretty specific, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're just going to unpack what's actually in this audio, the claims, the different viewpoints, the historical bits mentioned.
Exactly. We're sticking strictly to this one source. The whole point is to help you understand what this particular file is presenting. No outside info, no taking sides.
Right. We're just guides to this file. And, full disclosure, this audio touches on some heavy stuff, political figures, history, race, eugenics, sensitive topics.
For sure. And again, our job is just to lay out what the source itself says impartially.
So let's get into it. What are the first claims we hear in this audio file?
Okay, so it kicks off with a speaker who's identified in the context as being with the KKK. And they make some pretty direct statements right away.
The first big one being they claim the KKK endorses Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, that's the claim made in the audio. And they even give a figure,
Oh, yeah.
claiming the group gave her $20,000 anonymously for her campaign is the quote used in the source.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And the speaker also says something about the KKK's political alignment.
They do. The speaker states that the KKK has always been a democratic organization. That's their perspective presented here.
And what about Clinton's own statements? How does this speaker interpret them?
Well, the speaker suggests, that things she says, like caring about illegal immigrants, that example is used, are just talk.
Just to get elected, is that the idea?
That's the claim in the source, yeah.
Yeah.
That she's saying these things so she can get into office, and her actual policies would be different.
Okay. And does this speaker mention Donald Trump at all?
Briefly, describes him as a millionaire businessman, explicitly says not a politician,
And the implication being?
that he couldn't run the country, according to this speaker. The segment concludes pretty bluntly with the statement, "For the KKK, Hillary Clinton is our choice." So that's the opening punch, you could say, from this audio file.
Definitely provocative. Okay, so after those initial claims, where does the audio go?
It shifts focus. It actually includes clips of Hillary Clinton speaking herself, specifically about Senator Robert Byrd.
Ah, yes, the late senator. What does she say about him in this audio excerpt?
She calls him a true American original, also a friend and mentor.
High praise. Anything else?
Oh, yeah. She's quoted using phrases like surpassing eloquence and nobility.
Wow.
And she highlights his tenure, calling him the Senate's longest-serving member, its heart, its soul, and its historian.
So really emphasizing his role in the Senate.
Very much so. The audio includes her saying she sought his guidance right from her first day there.
And even later as Secretary of State.
That's mentioned too, yes. Relying on his advice then as well.
What else did she highlight about him, according to this source clip?
His tireless advocacy for his West Virginia constituents, his fierce defense of the Constitution and, Senate tradition.
And his passion for government helping people.
Right. Passion for a government that improves the lives of the people it serves. That's in there.
And how does she conclude these remarks in the clip?
Saying he, led by the power of his example, made colleagues better public servants, better citizens, leaving such a legacy.
Okay. So a very positive portrayal of Senator Byrd presented in this part of the source.
Yeah, definitely. That's the picture painted in that segment.
Then the source moves on again to another figure.
It does. This time it includes Clinton praising Margaret Sanger, specifically in remarks at a Planned Parenthood event.
Margaret Sanger. Okay. What's said there?
Well, Clinton's quoted saying she admires Sanger enormously.
What specifically does she admire?
The source includes her highlighting Sanger's courage, her tenacity, her vision, and it mentions Clinton referencing a biography, Woman of Valor by Ellen Chesler. And she expresses sort of awe for what Sanger did, all those years ago in Brooklyn.
Taking on established views.
Exactly. Taking on archetypes, taking on attitudes and accusations flowing from all directions is the quote presented.
And she suggests there are lessons to be learned from Sanger.
Yes. The quote included is that there are a lot of lessons that we can learn from her life and from the cause she launched and fought for and sacrificed so greatly.
So, similar to Byrd, a very positive framing of Margaret Sanger from Clinton's perspective, as presented in this source.
That's the viewpoint captured in that part of the audio, yes.
But I have a feeling the source doesn't leave it there.
You're right. This is where the audio takes a very sharp turn. It presents a really strong counter-argument, specifically about Sanger and Planned Parenthood.
Okay, so a completely different perspective now.
Mm-hmm.
What are the core claims here?
Well, the speaker laying out this view in the source starts by saying they know Sanger believed in eugenics.
Right.
And that she was not particularly enamored with Black people. That's the direct quote used.
And there's a claim about clinic locations.
Yes, this speaker explicitly claims that clinics are put in Black neighborhoods to find a way to control that population. That's the assertion made.
Strong stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Does the speaker offer, evidence or reasoning for this view within the audio?
They urge listeners to go back and read about Margaret Sanger, and they make a connection.
Who?
They claim many people in Nazi Germany thought about her, and that she was for targeting certain races. That's stated very directly.
So, drawing a line between Sanger and Nazi Germany's ideas?
Explicitly. The audio claims her admiration for the eugenics programs of Nazi Germany were well known at the time.
Does the source cite anything specific to back this up?
It does. It references some historical documents. First, a 1933 birth control review article.
So what about it?
It's titled Eugenic Sterilization, an Urgent Need. And the source identifies the author, Ernst Rudin, as Hitler's director of genetic sterilization and founder of the Nazi Society for Racial Hygiene.
And the connection to Sanger.
The speaker in the audio claims Sanger praised Germany's efforts and called for similar programs in the U.S., specifically targeting African Americans, based on things like this.
Okay. Are there other documents mentioned?
Yes. There's also reference to a 1932 birth control review editorial.
And what did that say, according to the source?
The audio quotes it discussing the Negro problem, calling birth control a necessary agency in its solution, linking Black people's submerged condition to high fertility, and questioning the eugenic effect of birth control on the Black population.
So the source presents this as evidence of her views on race and eugenics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's one more key piece cited, a 1939 letter.
Who was it to? And what did it say?
Attributed to Sanger, sent to a Dr. Clarence Gamble, the quote highlighted in the source describes a strategy.
What strategy?
To hire 3 or 4 colored ministers using a religious appeal. And then comes the really stark quote presented in the audio.
Which is?
We don't want the word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population.
Wow. Okay, so the source uses that quote to argue about her intentions.
Precisely. It's framed that way by the speaker. And based on all this, the speaker in the audio asks some pointed questions.
Like what?
Like, can there be any wonder why Planned Parenthood opens its facilities in poor inner-city neighborhoods populated by minorities?
Implying the reason is sinister, based on Sanger's alleged views.
Right. And another. Can there be any doubt that Sanger's philosophy of creating a pure race is what fuels Planned Parenthood's support of embryonic stem cell research?
So, linking historical claims directly to modern Planned Parenthood practices and motivations, according to the speaker.
Yes, and the speaker then states it very plainly. Margaret Sanger was a racist.
And they hold her responsible for.
Millions of babies that have been ethnically cleansed, is the phrase used, arguing she shouldn't be celebrated.
The language gets even stronger, doesn't it?
It does. This speaker in the source calls her one of the worst racists, even any grand wizard's dream bride.
And there's that claim about the founding idea of Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, this perspective in the audio boils it down to, let's not tell any Blacks. Let's just get some Black preachers. And they'll rope all the Blacks in, and we can kill all the Black babies. That's the basis of Planned Parenthood. That's the claim presented.
Just stunningly different from the earlier praise. And there's frustration expressed about current politics.
Yes, outrage that the Democratic Party will still give Margaret Sanger awards. The speaker compares it to giving Al Sharpton a Jefferson Davis Award, highlighting the perceived incongruity.
And what's the prediction made by the speaker in the source?
That when African Americans figure it out, break free from the chains of the media and the parties, there'll be a huge political shift.
How big?
The speaker predicts it'll be 92-8 the other way, a massive realignment.
So this whole section of the audio is dedicated to this highly critical, race-focused critique of Sanger and Planned Parenthood, using specific historical references as interpreted by the speaker.
Exactly. It's a very detailed counter-narrative presented within this one source file.
Okay, that's a lot to unpack there. What about the end of the audio file? Are there other segments?
There are a couple of shorter, distinct bits towards the end. First, there's a quick definition of sin.
Sin. How does that come up?
A speaker in the audio is asked if they believe in sin. Their response defines the greatest sin as, well, as bringing children into the world that have disease from their parents that have no chance to be a human being, practically delinquent, prisoners, all sorts of things, just mark when they're born.
Interesting definition presented there, and the very last part.
The final segment seems to be about political performance, maybe? It talks about the wobble dance.
The dance. In what context?
Discussion about losing the black vote, needing to learn the wobble, putting on music.
And then?
Then it sounds like someone is describing or maybe even acting out certain actions. Fixing hair, dabbing, signing a bill, dabbing again, that sort of sequence.
And what's the commentary in the source on this performance?
The person demonstrating says, people are going to see this and say, okay, she's painting the black people.
Meaning like pandering or putting on a show for a specific group?
That seems to be the interpretation within the source, yeah. And the response from others in the audio is just, okay, working, and yes.
So, a final reflection in the source on authenticity, perhaps, or calculated actions in politics.
Seems like it. That's how the audio file concludes.
Okay, so if we look back at this whole audio file, Hillary Clinton exposed part 1.mp3, it's quite a mix, isn't it?
It really is. You've got claims of KKK support and their rationale as stated by a speaker. You have Clinton's own words praising Byrd and Sanger as presented.
And then that incredibly detailed, sharp criticism of Sanger, citing specific documents as interpreted by that speaker, plus the bits on sin and political performance.
Right. So when you, the listener, hear all these different, often conflicting pieces pulled together in one source like this, what does it make you think?
Yeah, what does it tell you about how narratives are constructed, maybe? How different viewpoints can be stitched together within a single file?
And how does paying close attention to the specific quotes and details used by the speakers in the source help you, evaluate what's being presented?
It forces you to think about who is speaking in the source, what evidence they choose to highlight, and what their potential angle might be, right? Just based on what's in the file.
Absolutely. Understanding what's actually inside a source like this is valuable. It shows how differently historical figures can be framed by different speakers within the source.
And the complexity of the political arguments presented in the audio. It really demonstrates how wildly different stories can be told about the same people or organizations, just depending on what's included and how it's framed within that specific source.
So to wrap up this deep dive, we've laid out the diverse range of claims and perspectives found within this single audio file you shared.
From alleged KKK views, to Clinton's praise for Byrd and Sanger as presented, to that very strong counter-narrative about Sanger's legacy, using specific source references, and finally, those observations on sin and political performance as framed in the audio.
Our goal, remember, was just to unpack what's in this file, neutrally showing you the different viewpoints it contains.
So here's something to think about, drawing only from the themes in this source. How do the different speakers in this audio choose which parts of a person's life or actions to focus on?
And what might that selection tell you about their own perspective or goal as expressed in the source? Consider how sources can paint such different pictures and why looking closely at the specifics they offer is so important.